So this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and we thought that together we would do some filming, a short couple of episodes of podcasts to discuss our experiences with mental health, both personally and of family members and within the job roles that we do, didn't we?
Yeah.
Good. So she was like, let's get deep straight off.
Yeah.
Because we've both been there.
Yeah.
And we've both had postnatal depression.
Yep.
Yep.
It's
not
great.
a laughing matter.
No, it's not.
No, we've both had postnatal depression. You had it you had it with Maggie, didn't you?
Yeah. I had it first. Pregnancy.
All right, God.
No, not as in like that.
Sibling rivalry.
Like first pregnancy.
No, yeah, I know
Yours
what you mean.
was second pregnancy.
Mine was second pregnancy, yeah. And I think it's... I didn't really... Not that I underestimated mental health, because that's not it at all, because I'm a nurse and I've worked with it, but I think until you experience something that affects your mental health, you don't realise the colossal impact that it has on your life, do you? Okay. Because I didn't even know you had postnatal depression till you didn't have it anymore. So when did you realise that you... Like, what was it that made you think, oh, I've got postnatal depression? Or did you not? Did somebody else
tell you? I didn't.
It
was someone else. Mum took me to the doctors, to be fair. It was Danny. Danny kept texting my mum and said he was the one that our mum. And yeah, I think it was just a shock. I think as much as you learn about being pregnant and having a baby and creating a family, they never tell you how you're going to feel yourself afterwards or how you can feel. It's very, you have the baby and then you look after the baby and that's it. Like there's no, like the first week of birth, after birth, you're going to feel...
There's a lot of like pressure as well, isn't there? Like because there's a big stigma attached to postnatal depression. And I think like when you're pregnant, the pressure is that you just love this baby and you grow this baby and you have this perfect family and you're going to have this baby and life's just going to be amazing and it's going to make all your dreams come true. When anybody that's a parent knows that the reality is they're a shit machine, they piss all day long, they cry all night. It's not easy, is it?
It's slimy when they come out. I remember thinking, what have you just laid on me?
Didn't she give you the option? Didn't she go, do you want me to wipe it down?
No, not at all. She just threw Maggie on me and I was like, Is this where I cry? Like, I don't know how to feel.
How am I supposed to feel? Yeah, to be fair, like with Teddy, they threw Teddy on me, but when I was pregnant with Teddy, I felt more like I already knew he had a name and I already knew who he was and we'd planned a bit better for him. And then I had Albert. But I had a lot of miscarriages in between having Teddy and Albie, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I had 7 miscarriages consecutively and it wasn't handled very well by the hospital. So when I finally got pregnant and managed to carry the baby past 16 weeks, my brain hadn't like...
attached to it.
No, I didn't have any attachment to it at all. So when he was born, it was a bit like...
And it was lockdown.
It was lockdown, yeah. Yeah, God, I went to the hospital.
You was like watching all the numbers. Was it? You went a bit obsessive.
Yeah, I was pregnant in my defence. Yeah, I used to make Adam leave the shopping on the doorstep.
Yeah, so you could disinfect it.
What an idiot. Yeah, so when I went to the hospital and he was born, I was a bit like, oh, great. What do I do with this then? And Adam couldn't stay in the hospital. He had to leave. After he literally got 15 minutes of, there's your baby, say hello. Can you go now? Because we're in the middle of a COVID pandemic. And then I got him home and I just didn't really you try to gel, don't you? Everybody tells you that you should just be in love with this baby, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is really mean because he's a right moonhead now and I love him to pieces. But
yeah, and it does come, but you've got to realise that you're going through it and address it, I think.
And because people don't talk about it. Like I had all those miscarriages. Nobody talked about miscarriage. You go to the hospital and it's like...
I think it even starts back at school, like sex education, even down to that. No, but
we're going.
Yeah, we are, because like you have they do the whole, oh, you have sex and then you can have a baby. But they don't say there's actually only 2 or 3 days in a month that you're fertile to have a baby. They don't explain that. They don't explain how hard it is to actually make a baby and have a baby. And like people are so lucky. Like I was lucky enough to not actually go through any miscarriage as such, but like it's crazy how many people actually go through a miscarriage.
Literally 1 in 4 pregnancies are not successful.
But I think it needs to start from like when you learn about it.
Yeah, you're not educated. So then you just feel, my experience was, I felt like a failure. Even though I'd had a baby who was perfectly healthy, why can't I have another baby? Like, what am I doing wrong as a woman, as a mother?
Yeah. And at the hospital, it's almost one of those things, but it shouldn't be.
Well, you don't walk into a hospital, do you? And there's like, you're going to miscarry your baby.
Yeah.
It's just like safe sleeping and weaning and
even the room, like you're all in the same room. You could be going through a miscarriage and be sat next to someone who's like pregnant and happy and just found out they're having a girl or a boy.
Oh my God, I literally, my first, maybe second miscarriage, Adam didn't come with me to the scan. I found out at my 12-week scan and I didn't think that I'd miscarried. They were all like silent miscarriages where they don't know until they scan you. So I'd gone on my own to the scan. And then I went in the room and they do the thing, don't they? And they're like, oh, you're nice and skinny, we'll be able to see all sorts. And then I laid on the bed and the room was just like deathly silent and the sonographer turned the screen away from me. And then she was like, oh, I can't detect a heartbeat. And I was like, oh, take it that's a bad thing then. She was like, yeah, we're just going to get you to sit outside in the waiting area for a few minutes and then we'll get you back in. We just want a consultant's opinion. And I was like, okay, no worries. So I'm sat in this waiting room, like on my own, choked to hell, thinking, hold back the tears. This is horrendous. I'm texting Adam. He wasn't answering. I've got a woman sat next to me who's clearly in for a 20-week scan. She's all lovely and pregnant. Another lady's just come out of a scan and the sonographer brings her pictures of her, 12, 20-week scan, and her husband are all cooing over it. And I'm sat there like a absolute failure thinking, great, I've got a dead kid in me. This is great.
It's awful.
Everyone having a good time. I'm not.
It's so bad. And but then they should, why is that? Why are you all mixed? I know they don't know at that point, but surely there should be another room that you can go
It's not, separate. It isn't good for your mental health.
No.
That spiraled me. And then I think when you're trying for a baby and it's unsuccessful, the more unsuccessful it is and the more you're surrounded by successful pregnancies, the worse you suffer, yeah. And I didn't talk about it. I didn't have a day off work, did I? I was working at the salon at the time.
Yeah.
I don't even think you knew.
No, I didn't.
I didn't really tell anybody.
No.
I didn't have a day off work. I just worried on. And I don't think I realised how much that impacted my mental health until I had Albie.
Yeah.
And then I just had no attachment to him because I'd not dealt with... I didn't get offered counselling.
Yeah.
Nobody debriefed me in the hospital. It was like, oh, yeah, you miscarried. Really sorry. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
Just keep trying. And the amount of people that were like, well, it's not the end of the world. You've got one healthy kid already. And I'd be like, cheers, Jim. Yep. I should just be grateful that I've got one healthy kid. And you absolutely should be grateful. But if you want a second one, why not? It wasn't about me having a second. It was about a brother or a sister for Teddy.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. I went on to have 2 more children. Maeve came out of nowhere. She's like the devil.
Yeah.
Isn't she?
Feral.
But it was horrendous. And you're like, I didn't know you'd even been through it till I went through it.
Yeah.
And Mum was like, you should speak to your sister because she's been through it. Like, oh.
Yeah, but you just don't dare speak about it. But why not? Like, I'm really open about it now. And even in the salon, like even when people are pregnant, like I make sure, I tell all my clients who are due babies, like to prepare themselves for that first week and the second week. Because as much as you want to look after your baby, make sure your baby's perfect and everything else. It's like you're the one that's gone through the trauma of birth. Not the trauma, but like the pushing.
It's a huge trauma.
Like the shock of it. And it sounds so stupid, but before I'd even thought, how does this come out of my stomach? You just think you do a few pushes and there you go, jobs are good in. But actually...
Oh my God, how bad is
the pain afterwards and like the recovery is unreal.
It is horrendous. And then you're in that first week of not quite, if whether you've got postnatal depression or not, you're not quite feeling yourself.
No. You can see you can go either way, can't you? You can see how you slipped down the wrong slide.
Your bits are a car crash. You can't pee because it burns like hell. If you've had a natural birth, if you've had a C-section, you're laid up.
Yeah.
Your boobs are like, I mean, I look like Pamela
armpits,
Anderson. Yours were horrendous.
I had like 10 boobs.
And then in comes the family descending one by one.
Yeah, even that, like Bertie, I was so strict.
I was strict with my third, but I wasn't with the first two. And that was only off the back of me having postnatal depression after Albie. Because with Teddy, that second day of being at home, I had like 12 people in my house.
Yeah.
And I went upstairs and cried.
Your baby around, and then you're like, I did the same. It was awful.
I just sat upstairs crying with my boobs naked. They got expressed, and then you sat there like, It's a glamorous life.
It is. But
Did you feel that you couldn't talk to Cara about it at the time?
I think it's more like the embarrassment.
It's so embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
And I was although Cara was like the first person close to me to have a baby, that's it. Like, none of my friends had babies. Like, I was the first one. And then, even to sound so stupid, but like, I remember seeing my friends going out one weekend, and literally, I think Maggie was like a week old, and they were like all over Instagram, taking the pictures, living the best life. And I was sat there with my boobs under my armpits. I'd lay down and squirt out. I was like, what is my life come to? Like, I love it. Like, I love being a mum. It's amazing. But I just think the preparation for after having a baby.
And when you lay there and your boobs are spilling, when you don't have the depression, it's difficult enough. But the reward is that you've got this amazing bundle of shit machine that you just love dearly. When you're laid there and your boobs are spilling and you've got a fat belly and you lay in the bath and it just wobbles and your head's spinning and you can't get a minute's sleep because
you've had 2 minutes
the
sleep.
cluster feeding but you've got no attachment because you're depressed. It's not, you think, well, this isn't worth it. I look like shit, I feel like shit, and I don't even really want that there. What's that? I've got to feed it and keep it alive.
It's horrible.
It is embarrassing.
And
really.
I think I didn't tell
Shouldn't
you.
Be, but it is.
Yeah, no, I think I don't even know why I didn't tell you. I think at that time we were just, I don't actually even know.
You didn't?
No.
I did ask. Yeah. I asked Mum. She was like, she's fine, she's absolutely fine. It's like, she's not though, is she? Because you're an absolutely terrible liar.
No, I don't actually know why I didn't. I think at the time, like I say, it was probably more embarrassment than anything, because I didn't even know I was going through it until I went to, I don't even know what it's called, is it CBT?
Cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yeah, so the doctor referred me to that place. And to be fair, the woman was amazing. And I think I was there for about 8 to 10 weeks. And then understanding my mind and how my mind worked and realising, like, it's kind of a form of OCD, she said it was. And, like, the thought process that was going through my brain. Like, even down to, I think I was cooking or should have been locked up. Like, if I got out of my car, I had 10 seconds to get to my door and get in. And if I didn't do it in 10 seconds, something really bad was going to happen to me. Or even
joking?
Like, no, honestly, it was that bad. Or like, I'd walk down the street and I'd think, right, if I get to that tree in 25 seconds, the car won't come off the bloody road and hit me. Like, who even thinks like that?
A lot of people.
But
a lot of people.
It was constant. And then I'd look like a psycho woman running with my bra, thinking, shit, get to the tree in 20 seconds. And then I've got 5 seconds to dodge it if it does work. Honestly.
What was the tree going to do? Just save your life? Was, no, I mean, like, was the tree...
Well, I don't actually know why the tree was. That was just my point of focus to get to. But I barely walked. I didn't even walk with the pram. Like, I spent all that money on a pram, but I was petrified because my mind was telling me something horrendous was going to happen just from walking the pram down the street.
Yeah, whereas mine was different. I was just like, why are you here? You weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
But
I'm not ready for you.
But it's mad, and like I think since going through that, you think mental health's just it's mental health, but even just between us two, that's sure like there's the attachment side of mental health. There's I don't know what the hell my side is, but giving yourself 10 seconds to live, I don't know.
Funny.
It's it's like a game show in my head, I think. There's no winning
Hunger Games.
prizes,
No, what's
though,
that?
yeah.
What's that thing called on Netflix?
Squid Game.
Squid Games.
Yeah. Why is that? I've not seen that.
You don't want to see it. It's
No.
awful. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
What measures do you think could be in place to help with postnatal depression, specifically like pre and post? Now you've both experienced it.
I think for me, being a nurse as well, the antenatal classes need to go suck on aubergines because
Joking.
they're just horrendous. Like, I actually went to 2 with Teddy and I never went to another one again. And I walked out of one of them feeling like if I don't breastfeed this baby, he's going to die of a cot death. The pressure they put on mums and new mums and dads is ridiculous because some people don't even get their milk. You couldn't breastfeed.
With Maggie, I couldn't know. I could for like a day and then, 10 days I think I did, but I cried every time.
I think
It's
they
so
really
painful.
need to contemplate, like it's a huge life-changing event and just to prepare you better for it and not to overwhelm you with information. And then when you leave the hospital, like I literally had Teddy, I had an operation straight after because I had complications, got out of my operation at 8 p.m. and I was home by 12 o'clock the next day because of the turnover of people. And I get it, like there's not an empty...
Yeah, but years ago, they used to stay for like 2 weeks, didn't they, after a baby?
Well, yeah, like...
Until the mum was like...
Our grandma used to say to
Yeah.
us, in my day, but they would stay in the hospital and the midwives would be
mum
midwives and look
baby.
after the mum
Yeah.
and the baby.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like they can't wait to get you out. Like you're in this hospital bed on your own overnight, trying to feed this baby that you've only just met, and then you've got some woman coming with bounty photos going, "Can I take some pictures?" They do, though, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Curl your baby round and stick the thumb in the mouth."
They made me and Danny get in
you're
ours.
literally like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, I'm traumatized." But okay,
Yeah.
take some pictures of my baby, stranger. And then the next woman comes and wants to do a hearing test, and then somebody wants to come and do a physio test, and then you've got to go see the consultant. And
I had the breast lady woman as well.
the breast lady woman.
Yeah, she was... Honestly, it was like a cult, I think.
Literally before you know it, in the
Yeah.
space of half a day, you've seen 10 professionals and they've gone, "All right, you can go home now."
Yeah.
And then you go home in the car seat and everybody gets the car seat picture. And you sit at home with this kid in a Moses basket and you're like, well,
Yeah.
that was an interesting 24 hours.
Yeah.
Now what? And you get a
So
midwife
bad.
visit, I think. My midwives were
Yeah.
amazing, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I had amazing midwives.
And then all of a sudden you meet a health visitor.
Yeah.
My first health visitor, if you're watching this, you weren't very kind. And she was awful. My actual health visitor that I've got now, Andrea, is unbelievable. And I don't even see her. I've not seen her for a couple of years, but I know when I've needed help, she doesn't judge me. She's just lovely.
Yeah.
Even that sometimes can be, the right health visitor can be the difference between you having good mental health or poor mental health.
Yeah. I agree. And I think they need to
Talk more about it.
Yeah. And like, I feel like everyone just wants to tell you the birth story, like, which can be a bit traumatic as well, can't it? Do you not think? Like, if we're talking births in the salon, like, it's...
Everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
horrendous."
And it is, like, it's painful. Like, if I had birthed his birth every time, I'd have 10 kids.
Ooh.
I actually would. I actually enjoyed his birth. It was only an hour and 10 minutes.
Was it?
Yeah, from start to finish.
Book it.
But then, I mean, possibly, no, I'm not going to book it. Please cut that out. But I think because I did hypnobirth with Bertie as well.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
And I think I mentally prepared myself for it and I knew what was coming. And it's like the after thing. Like, I can't stress enough, if you don't know what's coming afterwards and how to prepare yourself mentally.
What do you mean the after thing?
The after thing of just, like, 1 minute you're a person and the next
I
minute
thought
you've got
you
to
was-
look after a child.
I thought you were talking about when you have the baby and then the afterbirth comes.
I know there is that. But again, like, you don't know about that until near
it
the
happens,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
bad.
so bad.
But I think with any type of mental health, like it's just about talking, isn't it? So like, you can cut this or you can carry it on, but away from postnatal depression, in our jobs and anybody that's in beauty or healthcare, you end up being a shoulder to cry on, a listening ear, a counsellor. And sometimes you're like, Jesus, I ain't got my own shit together. I'll do my best. But like I had a lady and she's just so gorgeous a couple of weeks ago and she was so down and we had a conversation, a very confidential one, and she was like, I feel like I should be okay because my husband died nearly 3 years ago. 3 years when you've been with somebody for 30 years is not a very long time.
No.
But society tells us you should be okay, like crack on with it, pick yourself up, get on with it, life goes on. It does for other people, but for you in that moment, it doesn't. And it's
No.
okay to be upset, depressed. Like grief is a process. It's not. I said to her, like, you are right where you should be in the process of grieving. You've not digested it yet. And for some people, it takes 3 months. For other people, it takes 3 years. For some people, never get over it.
Yeah.
And then when I used to hate it when people go, time's a healer. It's not a healer. It's absolutely not a healer. It's as painful as the day it happened. When I think about my postnatal depression, not comparing it to death or the miscarriages I went through, if I really think about it, it's as painful now as it was the day it happened.
Yeah.
But I can cope with it better.
Yeah.
Because with time comes coping strategies.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's with, like...
with everything, though.
Just the pressure, the sheer pressure to be the same as everybody else or to conform with society because that's what we should do. And it isn't what we should do. It's okay to get a bit depressed after you've had a baby. I don't even think it should be labelled.
No.
Because I think actually it's really natural to feel like a fish out of water and like you're not doing very well because you're probably not doing great because you just pushed a 9-pound mass out of your fungita. Like it's okay to just not be okay.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything. And even like in your job, what we do is we make people feel better about themselves. We should be doing that if you're in aesthetics or hair or beauty. If you're not, you're doing it wrong. But you should be doing that. Like you should be... I said the other day, we went to a moon circle the other day, didn't we?
Yeah. No, fire circle.
Fire circle, Jesus, fire moon circle. Alex Cat, what is it called? We went to a circle under the moon with a fire and it was really nice just to have 2 hours out and just appreciate that it's everybody's struggling with something. Some people just struggle more than others, and I think the people that struggle the most are the people that put the pressure on themselves to conform with society norms and to be that like prime example of the perfect human, and nobody's perfect and we're all sad.
What even is perfect?
Exactly. What I don't know. What is it?
I don't know.
What is perfect to you?
I just don't know.
But I said, didn't I, at that fire circle, like I was privileged when I did oncology nursing for kids and I nursed the kids to the death and I was there with the parents and you've maybe been part of their lives for like, I don't know, 3 years doing chemo in the home and accessing central lines, and it's awful and it's really sad, but it's also like such an honour to be able to be that person that supports that family. I still feel just as privileged in this job. It's so much more than just sticking a bit of Botox in your face or cutting somebody's hair, sticking a colour on their head. Like they walk out feeling the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
In that hour appointment, they offload their deepest, darkest fears, anxieties, depressions, and you get to be the person that just might say that one thing that just makes all the difference to them.
Yeah, and I guess the amount of people that we get to see and meet, and they might not know what to do next, but then we can...
Do you?
I don't, but I know that,
what you mean, yeah.
Like, I know that I've had that therapy, like, and I know that that was amazing for my needs at that time. So it's like I've had loads of clients where I'm like, think you might like benefit from a little bit of like
CBT.
CBT. And then they've come back and been like, oh, I've booked on, it was amazing. So
Yeah, and I think when you know somebody that's been through it or done it, it almost makes it, it's like acceptable
normal,
then,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Paris at my hair salon went through it, so
Yeah.
I got counselling through the House of Light. Is it Light of House? House of Light? Something like that.
Yeah. I think so.
But it was during COVID and it was not very good because it was all on the phone and not in person. And I think there's a lot to be said for doing things
Not in
in person.
Yeah.
Like when it's on the phone, it's just not as personable. And I had to explain my whole situation 3 times to 3 different people because someone was on leave, and I didn't actually find that beneficial. And what helped me was accepting myself that I wasn't okay, but that it was okay that I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And then not putting the pressure on myself to get back to work, because like when you're self-employed as well, you don't get the luxury of a 9-month maternity.
No.
Do you?
It's like 6 to 8 weeks, isn't it?
I had 3 or 4 weeks with Teddy.
Yeah.
And I had with Albie, he was born 25th of May, and then we went back to work with the lockdown lifting on the 17th of June, and I didn't have a choice because I'd not worked for, well, nobody worked.
No.
It's like free for all.
Yeah.
I was growing vegetables in the garden and watching Adam wash the stones. Yeah, I think it just needs to be talked about a bit more.
Definitely.
And then if pregnancy and birth isn't enough as a female, not discounting the males, we'll get onto them in a minute. But then you go through menopause.
Yeah. And not that I'm not through that yet. I haven't even started, neither of you, but we've like experienced.
Adam might beg to differ.
Yeah. To be fair, Danny said that to me the other day.
Mum started really early
Mum
though.
was 38 when she started.
Yeah.
Wasn't she?
Jesus, I've got 2 years.
I know, I've got, how many have I got? I don't even know.
I don't know how old you are.
32.
6
years. If we go down the same path as her. But I feel like even that, like, no, I didn't even know what menopause was until Mum went, like,
But that's another thing that nobody prepares you for it.
No.
So
I feel like going to these, like we've been doing these wind circles and moon circles, like
they're really good, you should go.
They are really good. But I think that I can't believe how much I've learned from my own cycle just from that. And I feel like now, again, I don't know if it'll be the right thing when the time comes, but I feel like I'm more prepared now than I ever was about my own cycle, that hopefully, touch wood, I've sailed through menopause and I don't turn into a fire-breathing dragon.
Because you don't know one of them, do you?
No.
We've only been on the receiving end of it from Mum.
Yeah.
Don't hate us. But yeah, like that, she's much better.
Yeah, but again, like you didn't
Now.
speak about it. Even like bless her, she went to a doctor's and it was a male doctor. Which how can he empathise with a woman that's going through a menopause when he don't have a bloody clue?
You don't have a dicky bird.
He doesn't.
No. And there's not a lot of help for menopause. It's like HRT or deal with it, isn't it?
Yeah, but like the side effects of HRT, like there's so many pros and cons.
Yeah, it's changed a lot, I think, in recent years, and there's a lot more research, but it used to be like linked with breast cancer and there's a lot to think about, isn't there?
But it's the same with periods in a way. Like you wouldn't like
periods.
I know, but my body hates a pill. Like
I don't
my
get on with
mental
a pill,
health
no.
on a pill is not okay. So I can't have them. So like I just think if I get to the menopause and I need another chemical to put inside my body, like as a woman, I don't want to do that.
I'm not very good on the pill. I am
No.
psycho.
Yeah, I'm a psycho.
The genes, clearly.
I think
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
We're going to turn into fire-breathing dragons. Maybe we already are. We just don't know it.
Daddy said it a few
Save
times.
us. Yes, there's Adam. Sometimes I get really mad at Adam and I'm like, why are you in a mood? Change your face. Why have you got up on the wrong side of the bed? And he's like, I haven't said anything. And I'm like, it's your face. I can tell on your face. And he's like, okay, there's your cup of tea. I'm going to go sort the kids out. Like, yeah, do that.
Put a pill in it though, you'd be murdering him.
I know that's what I'm thinking. Lock the kitchen knives away. Yeah, it's tough, innit? It's tough being a female. But then I guess males have it bad
Just
as
as
well.
bad,
The other way, like the pressure's on with a male to be, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a man, but to be manly.
Yeah.
Or to be a certain way. And then like today isn't even what it used. There's not even male and female. There's male, trans. Like it's just a world of colour, isn't it?
Which is amazing. Like it's great that people can be who they want to be, but then it's harder to, what's the word, like understand even more. Like, do you want to be a male or do you want to be a female? Like even that question.
And then then some people don't identify as anything.
Yeah.
And
then how do you know what you want to identify as? Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
You can go down a massive rabbit hole.
Yeah, you can. But like that, but then think like when we were at school, I think there was maybe 2 boys in the year group that they never came out as gay, but not that you should have to come out, but they never said that they were gay, but they've now we're older, they are gay.
Yeah.
And there was one girl that I know of that's gay, because it just wasn't the acceptable thing.
But then I think the mental health for those people must be really, like, that must have been such a struggle to process that and not have the support. Like, it's amazing today that they have that support, but I feel like back then it must have
Still
been...
not perfect though, is it?
It's not, no, but it's way better than it was.
Yeah, it's still not perfect. Like,
and then down to like males, like I guess just men don't speak, really.
On the whole,
yeah,
my husband's a nightmare. Don't talk about anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Daddy is quite open. I'm lucky with that, but I think he's had to be because he's been through so many injuries and he's had such a. It's hit him in the face quite a lot. So I think he's had to deal with it, and
I think Ad just puts everybody else first and thinks I'm not important, so I'll just deal with it in my own head because I need to sort out my mum and my sister and my brother and my kids and my wife and my business, and then I'll think about me at some point when I get half a second, and then that just never happens. And then I think he's all right. Are you all right? I don't know. Don't really ask him.
It's not as open though, is it?
No, and it's not like it's natural for a woman to go to the doctors because in life we're going to give birth to the baby. So it's quite a normal thing for a woman to need a doctor, but it's not normal or natural for a man to need a doctor.
No.
So to go for a physical health issue is usually quite difficult for a man to do.
Yeah.
So then when it's their mental health suffering, like we felt less of a mum for having postnatal depression, they maybe feel less of a man for struggling with their mental health.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is ridiculous. You should be on this. You could probably talk about this better than I can.
Yeah, it's weird because for me, it never bothered, nothing ever fazed me. Like, as much as I was absorbing stress, like you said, Adam puts everyone first, it had just...
kind of go over.
I'd never think about it until it hit me. And I think it was because I'd never experienced it, it felt so overwhelming to feel that. I think similar to what you said, you don't know what it really is until you've felt that wobble, you know?
Yeah, and then when you've felt the wobble, it's really hard to shake the wobble. And even when you've shook the wobble, you're not quite the same invincible person that you used to be.
Yeah, you still have that, like, it's almost like a bit of a heartache, I guess. Like, it's like a pain.
It's like
Yeah, it is.
You can feel it like so stupid, but in your stomach, I think. Like, my stomach still goes a bit like, ugh.
In life as well, like, obviously you go through life experiences, and you two might disagree, but on the whole, in work and stuff, I try to be a positive person. Like, we didn't get this business between us on negativity. It wasn't bred on negativity. It was bred on, this is what's going to happen, this is what we're going to make happen, and it happened.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the people you meet along the way, the experiences you have, they trip you up, they kind of blindside you because you weren't expecting it to happen.
Yeah.
And it knocks your confidence a little bit and it sets you back a little bit. And the first thing a decent person does is, in a situation, you look at yourself to see if you've done anything wrong. What have I done wrong? Where did I go wrong? Could I have done better? Could I have improved? Could I have handled that situation differently?
Yeah.
And when there's no explanation for a situation, it cuts deep, because it's natural for a human being to
reflect on yourself.
Yeah, but like reason, you need to reason. There needs to be, we strive for understanding. Like, we like to know. We're built on knowledge and learning. And if we can't learn from a situation because nobody gave us an explanation as to why it happened, it's difficult to push forward from it.
How do you stop it happening?
How do you stop it happening again? That's exactly it. So
then you put your guard up, and
then you
it
can change
yeah,
who you are, because that particular situation or that person blindsided you and it knocked your confidence. Mental health came out of nowhere, poor mental health came out of nowhere, knocked you off your feet, and you were like, well, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
And I've reflected on myself and I didn't do anything differently. And I've always handled stress well, or I've always coped with situations or negativity. And now all of a sudden I'm spiraling down a rabbit hole that I never knew was there. And how do I stop that from ever happening again if I don't understand it in the first place?
Yeah.
And for things like postnatal depression, there is almost a reason, isn't there? You had a baby.
Yeah.
You struggled with it.
Yeah.
But for people, I think particularly males, there probably is usually a reason somewhere.
But I think it goes, like you just said, it goes over your head. So you don't actually.
So you don't.
They don't realise
recognise the reason. No.
Yeah, and then they're suddenly
it's
in
not
that
as easy
pit,
to
and then
pinpoint,
they're like, oh,
is it?
actually, no. It's not. It's horrible. Like, I love that everyone's more open to speak about it. I think that's great, but it needs to like keep going.
Yeah, and life helps. Like, we're really lucky. We work in, like, this building has got a buzz about it all the time. There's always loads of people around. We all work in a similar industry. On the whole, it's a nice place to work. I know I'm going to say that because it's my building.
No,
but
it is though.
It is a nice place to work, and sometimes you
here
come
for
in
the
and you're
same-
absolutely miserable because, I don't know, you've just got out the door and one kid's crapped the pants and somebody else has smashed your toilet, yeah.
And your bathroom's flooded.
And your bathroom's flooded, and you come to work and you think, oh my God, I can't handle this day. And then you walk into the staff room and somebody else has had a bad day as well, and then you learn to laugh about it. And it just, you pick each other up, don't you? You lift each other up. But if you're in a job where you've not got that, like, work life is...
We're so lucky.
40 hours a week if you're full-time.
Minimum.
Yeah, and the people you surround yourself with are really important, and just learning to talk. And I think, for me, a big thing about mental health, I've had postnatal depression. Other than that, water for ducks back to me. Like, I don't really care what I look like. If you come to the clinic, I often look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. I don't wear makeup, really. I have got mascara on. Other than that, I don't brush my hair. It gets shoved up. I'm constantly in scrubs.
Yeah, but then on my side, it's like opposite. It's like in hairdressing, you have to look presentable. Not saying you don't look presentable.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
But I'm just saying, no, you say that, but like if I had I mean, some days I do, but like if I didn't make any effort whatsoever.
But who tells you have to look like that in hairdressing?
Well, when I first started, the people I worked for then.
Because in aesthetics, I mean, if you look on Instagram, you only have to scroll through your Instagram feed to see every aesthetic clinic with face full of makeup, false lashes, massive lips, lippy on, looking pristine. It's not the way I roll. My life doesn't lend itself to that. Like, I don't mind. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't feel the need to fit in with society norms. So I don't struggle so much with that side of my mental health, because it's okay with me that I come to work sometimes and I've snot down my jumper because I've picked Maeve up and she was crying in the morning, because it was important that I picked her up when she was crying and I gave her a cuddle. And it's okay that I didn't put my makeup on, because feeding my kids breakfast and having an extra 10 minutes sleep was more important to me. Like, my priorities are different, because I don't mind breaking the mould, but for
majority
others and maybe 90% of the world, they find it difficult to break that mould.
Yeah.
I think, like, as You need to be, I say it to my patients a lot, it's no good me putting Botox in your forehead if you don't love yourself already. Like, the Botox isn't going to make you love yourself. The filler ain't going to make you love yourself. The IV drip ain't going to miraculously get rid of your tiredness.
No.
You've got to make a change as well in your lifestyle and your habits and your thought processes before I can put Botox in your forehead and you're actually going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like somebody coming and they're going through, I don't know, some life crap like divorce or whatever, and they're like, Paris, I just want it's like me when I'm like, I want to be blonde, and you're like, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like,
even like down to people, it's like they say the whole Britney moment, like they come and they just want the job, and I'm like, why? And there's no reason. Well, there is a reason behind it.
I mean, there's somebody that suffered with mental health.
Yeah, but
Britney
like
Spears, Jesus.
People do take it out on themselves and their appearances of whether they put a bit of filler in to make them think they're gonna look better, or they get a haircut and they think, oh yeah, that's gonna make me feel better, but actually they get home and they don't feel any better, and then they come back and they want more things. And like, you're amazing in that side of what you do, is that you notice that and you can kind of read people and the questions, I guess, what you say in your consultation. Like, you would never just put filler in someone's lips because that's what they want. Like, the process that you go through.
No,
with
it's
them.
Ethically wrong, isn't it? Like, it's as much as
people do it, don't they?
but as much as it's a business for us, we're healthcare professionals first and foremost, so ethics and patient safety comes above me making £1 million. Like,
100%, yeah.
And that's why I haven't made £1 million, because I'm like, honey, you don't need that Botox. But it's important. Like, mental health is a huge thing. And equally, what's the point in me putting $1 million in your lips when I know you're not going to be happy with it?
Yeah.
I know you're going to come back and you still won't be happy because you're not happy in yourself.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, I get that.
What a waste of my time and your time.
Yeah.
And we're in a really privileged position where we can signpost people. So, like, if they disclose domestic abuse, which happens, we can signpost them to the right people. Or if they've just had a baby and they're struggling, we can signpost to the right professionals. And it's a safe space to talk about those things. That's why we called it Sanctum.
Yeah.
Because it's a safe space, not just for your aesthetics, but for you to come and enjoy some time to offload, to some headspace. Because mental health is so important.
Yeah, it's so important.
Like, it's huge. And it do you know what, like, it blows my brain that kids get anxiety. Like, I didn't even know what anxiety was when I was in. Anxiety is normal.
I think I left school and I still didn't know what it was.
No, but I think society's made anxiety a thing. Like, we've attached a stigma to it when it's normal to be anxious before a GCSE exam.
Yeah.
It's normal to be anxious on the first day of school.
Yeah.
Anxiety is a normal emotion that everybody feels. It becomes abnormal when it takes over your life.
Yeah.
And I think, totally my personal opinion, we have put such a focus on anxiety and mental health that it's now
lost.
You're not allowed to be anxious because you've got anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Millie, my stepdaughter's going through her GCSEs, and she's really really applying herself and doing amazing, but she's also really worried and scared that she don't do well because of the pressure that's put on you. But that, like I said to her the other day, it's normal. You'd be weird if you weren't worried and anxious, because then that would show that you didn't care.
Yeah.
If
you
went
told it was butterflies, like,
like,
it wasn't
that's
even
all
anxiety.
it is, though, isn't it?
Then that sounds like, oh, it's a little thing in your stomach, and you just
it'll go,
go.
But anxiety's normal.
I think, like, the feeling anxious and anxiety are two separate entities for me. Like, I'd have a circumstance where you'd feel anxious if you had, like, an interview or something like that. But actual anxiety, where you can't control it.
And I totally agree, but I think they've blurred the boundaries between
so, like,
feeling anxious and anxiety. So now
they'll feel anxious and say they've got anxiety.
Yeah.
It's not just feeling an emotion.
And it's, you're allowed to be
emotional.
Angst, that's normal.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to be depressed sometimes. Like, it's normal to have a down day.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being sad and down and depressed, but anybody that's just going through a tough time, it's easy to say, well, I'm depressed, isn't it? And for a doctor, it's easy to diagnose depression without really looking at the bigger picture and seeing how else we can help before it becomes depression.
I think that's maybe like, it's great that people are talking more for people that are actually suffering, but then for people like who are feeling a bit sad or just experience regular amounts of it day to day as you would as human experience, who are then saying it kind of dulls it down. Like for me, you go through life feeling sad and stuff, but when it became uncontrollable and I didn't understand why it was happening, I couldn't stop it. Like you can have a
That's
shit
when
day.
it's a problem, yeah.
You can have a shit day and then something makes you laugh and you're all right.
Yeah, definitely.
That's different to waking up with
a cloud over your head.
That you can't get rid of no matter what the experience is.
Yeah.
I think opening up more, there's always going to be people that are like a bit murky anyway.
Definitely,
so
yeah.
Are they then dulling down? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
100%, yeah. I think it's just like oversaturating a diagnosis unnecessarily. So then the people that really need the help
don't get it. Well, they hide.
Don't have access to it.
Yeah, and I think like when you'll ring the doctors, my circumstance, you'd be waiting up to a couple of months to get a therapy appointment. And for me, like I was never at a crisis point, and I was lucky that I had my family, but it made me realise that if I didn't have my family there, what my circumstance could have actually been like.
Yeah.
And that kind of, in the moment when I was like I started suffering, you feel a bit of shame about it. My shame was nothing's happened to me. I shouldn't be struggling, and I felt like for people that have lost family members or going through grief, they should be struggling, but my life's good. Do you know what I mean? It made me feel shame that I tried to tell people, like I didn't want to tell people because I was like, they'll think I'm.
But then, like, I felt the same when I got postnatal depression because I have the perfect life, and outside of looking in, I've got a great life.
Yeah.
But then I think you do have experiences and you don't realise how they affect you through life. Like even just being at school, like there'll have been things at school that happened that are deeply ingrained in your memory, in your subconscious, that you have buried. They do come back to haunt you eventually.
Childhood experiences.
I think they
count
huge,
for huge things.
Yeah.
My little
secondary school, especially, like it can start in primary, but I think a lot of it secondary is brutal. And
kids
like,
are awful.
Are so mean.
Kids are more mean than ever, and I think it's because not we personally, but society spends so much time focusing on negativity. Like, when was the last time you paid someone a compliment?
Yeah.
I pay someone a compliment every single day of my life, whether that's in work, on a weekend, like a genuine compliment. Because that compliment can change somebody's day and change somebody's mindset.
Yeah.
And I never look at somebody, I just don't look at them negatively. Like, I was speaking to a lady, I won't say where or when or who because it's confidential, and she was upset about, she said, I know I should lose weight, I know I'm overweight. Why should you lose weight?
Yeah.
If it's affecting your health, maybe, but if you're happy in who you are at the size you are.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, yeah, well, I don't lose weight. I don't look at you and think you're overweight or you're fat. I just look at you and see a gorgeous face and a larger than life personality and a good human.
Yeah.
But how many times?
But everything has to be labelled now.
Everything's labelled. Everything, like, you bring your kids are cruel, but they learn it from somewhere. It's learnt behaviour.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's how it is. Like, I say it to my kids every day, like, you just have to be kind to people, and
I always say be kind.
Be positive, like, and see the bigger picture in every situation.
And it's like the bully at school is probably bullying because they're being bullied. Like, usually people that are lashing out at school or nursery or at work, they're doing it because they're not having a good time in their life. Yeah, it's learned. So actually, if you take a step back, one of my friends the other day, you'll know who when I say it, was like, and there's this little boy at school and he's been bullying my child and hitting him and doing this and doing that. Actually, if you take a step back, what's going on in that child's life for them to think that that's okay and that's how you behave with somebody? That child's suffering I'm not saying they're the victim. They absolutely need to learn that behaviour is not okay. But
There's a reason
there's a
behind why
reason
they're
behind it,
doing
and nobody thinks
Yeah.
about that. Like nobody, you just go about your day and you just do your job because you should, and you've got to make the money to pay the bills and go home to the kids and cook tea and save for a holiday if you're lucky, and if you're not lucky, you'll save to pay for the food shopping, and that's the way life is, isn't it? And you don't wake up in a morning and think, I'm going to pay somebody a compliment today because it just might change the way they're feeling.
Yeah. I think just always seeing the good side of people as well. I try and focus on that. I try and think of the best case and scenario and everything.
And it's easy as well, like through life experiences, I've had a few, for other people's malice to change
your mindset,
the way you are, or your good nature.
The way you view yourself.
The way you view yourself, yeah, absolutely. But it's much harder and much more of a challenge to maintain your good nature and continue to see the best in people. But if you break the barrier, it really does make you feel much better about yourself, much better about life. When life gets tough, you handle it better. Like, the society is just to blame.
Yeah, definitely.
And people's behaviour towards each other is terrible.
It's so bad. And
it's a real shame.
It is. And I think as well, like back to the like going back to the secondary school thing, like I've speaking to clients and other teachers, everyone's child is so perfect and precious too, and like they can't do anything wrong, and that's the other thing where I think
mine swears.
Yeah, but like own it, do you know what I mean? Like you literally sorry, my child might swear. I also do that, but like I know some teachers have such a struggle with, instead of the parent thinking, oh, actually, my child's done wrong, whereas that, I can't even get my words out.
I know what you say. There's two sides. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the teacher's fault. Right. It's the teacher's way of how they're teaching, and they're not allowed to discipline that child. Not discipline.
Yeah, but discipline. Like, it is
you
discipline.
Can't even say discipline now, though, can you?
Your child has to be told off if they've done something wrong.
But instead they're like, well, no, my child won't do that. And then that's it. They get home, they get a treat, and
I go to nursery every night and pick my kids up, and I'm like, so what's he done today then?
Yeah.
And they're like, nothing, he's been really good. I'm like, really, are you sure? Are you sure he's not hit anybody? He's not swore at anybody? And they're like, no, he's been good. I'm like, okay, that's progress, great.
Yeah.
Like, not that I think the bad of him, because he's a great kid, but you're naive to think your kids are good all the time, aren't you? Like, we were shit.
But even if the teacher rang mum or dad, we would be... Like, you wouldn't even be able to explain your side of the story. It would be, get to your room, I've had a phone call, then that would be it.
Disappear,
when now, it's like the teachers get disciplined for teaching the kids and trying to show them the right direction.
It's like everyone's got a voice now, whereas back then discipline.
And the respect.
There's no respect, there's no respect.
Structure that was in place, whether it was school, whether it was the police, politicians.
Yeah.
But there's just none of it now.
It's like no F's given now.
Junior no GCSEs can have his opinion on like parliamentary issues. You know what I mean?
Sit down, Karen. Sit down.
It's so true. Yeah, but I think that's another thing where, again, going back to mental health, like that all spirals because
social media I love social media. For our business, it's been super positive, and if you can switch off from the negative.
Instagram is quite positive, I think. It's the
it can be, but
TikTok's crazy.
It's easy. Like, look at Claire Abella.
Yeah.
She won't mind me saying this, I'm sure. If you put this in, I'm sure she'll be cool with it. She definitely will be cool with it. She puts herself out there as a 40-year-old woman with all the kids, loving life, who looks insane, looks after herself, earns everything, dances like no one's watching, doesn't care. And there'll still be some absolute nana sat at home that has to go, 40, you look 50.
Yeah.
Dancing like that at 40, your daughter's going to be ashamed of you. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Go away.
And why go out of your way to actually sit and
Did you
type
really have that much time on your hands
Yeah.
to watch that TikTok and have a negative opinion on it?
Yeah.
Why not just look at that and go, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, be jealous, be envious.
Yeah.
That's what you're allowed to be,
Yeah,
but don't be
people don't think
nasty.
They can be jealous, do they? They don't like that feeling of jealousy. Instead of being like, do you know what? Actually, I'm so jealous of that.
I'm real jealous. I'm jealous of
She
loads of
looks
people.
class. I hope I look like that at 40.
Like, it's just, and like Claire, literally, it is water for ducks back. She doesn't care. She's been through stuff, hasn't she? Like,
Yeah,
she
has.
is one hell of a woman.
She could write about 20 books at 40.
Like, she's literally insane. Like, what she's
Crazy.
been through, what she's experienced, and to come through the other side. And she's a successful businesswoman. She's got the Von Trapp family. Like, she's literally, she's insane. But she really, on paper, should be suffering with her mental health.
Yeah.
Because she gets stick from people on social media all the time.
All the time. It's
But
so
these
bad.
people don't know her. They don't know her personally. They just, it's like celebrities. The Love Island a lot that take stick. We don't know them. We've seen a snippet of them on TV. It was fun to watch. Don't be nasty afterwards.
I do think as well, though, as the UK, I feel like we're such a negative country. Because remember we went to Nashville and like walking down the street and like
Everyone's like, oh my God, your boots are so nice. We were like,
and we
thanks.
Were like, but at the same time, we were a bit like, is
Are
she
they
kidding?
really
Is she
being
taking
nice?
the piss? Like, is she being a bitch? But it's because you think...
And then we spent 4 days there and everyone was just nice.
Yeah, and you realise that actually you're allowed to say that. If you like someone's boots, go tell them.
It's so, like, you should compliment each
Yeah.
other. I tell you what I'm not liking right now.
What?
My pedal pushers.